Hello, 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 all of you out there. Welcome to the Create the Life You Love with Georgia Woodbine podcast on the Chapters Network. I am your host, Georgia Woodbine, and like I always say, I'm so excited to share conversations with successful entrepreneurs, business owners, and provide you with content that's really going to give you tips and strategies on how to grow in life and in business. I am so happy that you decided to join us today, and feel free to share your comments. Make sure that you share, you like, you subscribe on the YouTube page, this podcast. Make sure you go to the website, georgiawoodbine.com. I would like to welcome our guest, Mr. Phil Andrews. He's the president of the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce. He's also the past president of 100 Black Men, and he has received so many awards from many political officials for his involvement in the community. Let's welcome our guest, Mr. Phil Andrews. Hey, Phil.
Thank you, Georgia, for such a warm welcome.
Thanks for being with us today in your busy schedule. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Now, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit, give us a little backstory on Phil Andrews, and tell us about yourself and what you do.
Well, Phil Andrews was raised in Brooklyn, New York, and in my early 20s, I started a franchise barbershop. We had one, and then we had several in Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island, and it skyrocketed me to fame. You know, when you employ a lot of people, a lot of people begin to know you. I began to give out scholarships in the community, serve on boards, and at 25 years old, I came to prominence by being in the board of directors of the 100 Black Men, being mentored around gentlemen that make 30 million, Tuskegee Airmen, Brigadier Generals. And it was just great. You know, someone called those people from that generation the greatest generation because they was just an extraordinary group of people with a lot of determination. And they was determined for society to let them in. They wasn't backing down. So, and just being around extraordinary leaders that just turned over every stone that they could to make sure everything that they touch was like the Midas touch. So I'm just so happy that I was came to prominence early by having great mentors.
Awesome. You know, I do believe, Phil, that, you know, your mindset dictates everything. It dictates the decisions that you make. It dictates how you handle things. You know, how important would you say that the mindset aspect is to, you know, changing your lifestyle, having a successful business, or just being successful overall in things that you do? How important would you say mindset is to achieve the things that you want in life?
Well, mindset is extremely important. I know one of the things in my 20s, I was exposed to a gentleman named Joe Dudley running a 20. He runs a $30 million company, Dudley Products, and he was able to pass that on to the next generation, his children. And one of the things that they said that reading people or ruling people, when you think about it, the people that invest in themselves and read really lead successful lives. So mindset is everything. But I wouldn't stop at mindset because you got to have a certain skill set along with the mindset. And then you got to take action on the mindset and the skill set to get things done. Otherwise, you'll be a smart individual not doing anything.
Oh, I love the way you put that. That is so true. You know, I always believe that, you know, taking control in life and in your business and to be successful, it always starts with confronting things. And you cannot change what you don't confront. So like you said, if you don't take action, if you don't put actionable steps behind your goals and, you know, your mindset, you're not going to really achieve anything. What are some of the early lessons that you've learned in life to help you cope in a world that's like constantly changing, especially even like now with the pandemic?
Well, one of the things I love Think and Grow Rich. One of the things I loved about Think and Grow Rich is that, you know, when you read a book, you should finish it. So I got a habit of reading a book and finishing it. And the things that we try to do, take that type of attitude because sometimes it takes years to make something an asset. And then all of a sudden, people see all of this success, but they don't see all the things that you did. So I think having a habit of finishing some things that you start. Like you're an excellent example of that. You've produced a tremendous number of products, and I haven't even got my first book off. So having that ability to do in that area to publish books and to finish is extraordinary. I've met some mentors in my life that they wrote their book so late they was only able to sign one book,
Hmm.
have one book signed. And so I commend you. Start with the end in mind when you're doing anything.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you so much, Phil, for that. I believe that life is our greatest teacher, right? You know, I think when life starts to make sense for people, when you start to realize that everything in your life happens, it happens for a reason. It happens for you to learn a lesson, to help you learn and grow and develop and evolve to live in your highest potential. And like in a world that's constantly changing, I've learned that the only thing that's constant in life is change. Nothing ever stays the same, right? And that's how we grow and evolve as individuals. So, to piggyback off what you said, start what you finish. Don't like expect something to be successful or to work if you're not putting that work and that time in, and that you're not, you have to finish what you start. You have to go all in on your goals. You have to make sure you set deadlines to your goals. You have to take action steps. You have to pour whatever it is into your passion every day. It has to be an everyday thing. It can't be like a once in a while thing and you're expecting this successful business, or you want to have a luxury lifestyle. And people see people on social media and they have this conception that because what you see is what is. And I think that people don't know what really goes on behind the scenes, behind success. And so I'm glad you really touched upon that. So that's one of the tips, right? Definitely,
Yes.
when you start something, make sure that you finish it. Now, as an entrepreneur, what's one piece of advice that you can give to our viewers for, like for someone that's starting a business?
Well, I think every business owner needs to know the root word of capital. Capital, the root word in the original language with capital was in the head. Your business starts in your brain. That's where the capital starts. Long before money comes, there got to be an idea. There's some idea, and they say most people have thousands of ideas, $1 million ideas, but they never act on them because ideas are not only sources of pleasure, but ideas are sources of power. You should write things down, as my mentor told me. A short pencil is better than a long memory because
Hmm.
we come up with a lot of good things, and some things you even the fact that you didn't write them down, you don't remember them the next day. So I think we have a tremendous amount of creativity. I think we need to look at innovation. Sometimes we could do things better. We could do things more timely. Innovation is the hallmark of champions. And sometimes we just need to have the law of flexibility. If we keep hitting our head on the wall, don't try to keep going in the same way. Have some flexibility. Know that, you know what, I made to make a shift. Let me give some thoughts. The old times used to say, let me sleep on it. And then God will wake up you up in the morning with a vision of what you could do. So I think a lot of it is creativity. But like you said, creativity and ideas is nothing if we don't act upon those ideas.
Absolutely. And I think too, it's so important to understand what your motive is for your success, you know, and what actually holds you back from achieving your goals and attaining that success. And I think that a lot of things that stops people from actually taking those action steps is the fear of financial insecurity, blocking your financial goal. It's fear of how other people see you. It's fear of you feeling that you're not good enough or you don't have enough. And you have to get past those fears. In anything in life that you want to pursue, you have to move past your fears of failing, your fears of not having enough money, your fears of not having enough resources. You have to, like Phil said, you have to, it starts with the idea, right? It starts with a vision. It starts with something in your heart, in your soul, in your mind. And you have to, like, that's what you build off of. You build off that passion, that goal, that vision, and then everything else will come together. Like, even for me initially, when I started writing books, I didn't even know I had the gift to write. I didn't even know how I was going to write my first book, and I've written several books since then. So, but I got past the fear of, how do I do this? Will this work? Will people want to read it? Will people want to buy it? You got to stop talking yourself out of doing things, because I do believe there's this thing called what, paralysis analysis. It's like you'll talk yourself out of doing things because you think of all the reasons why you can't do something. And so, I definitely think too, it's important to, move past your fears and understand what your motive is behind what you're doing and what the reasoning is behind what you're doing. Um, Phil, can you give our viewers some tips on some of the ways that you're most productive? And it could be like, like time management, it could be anything. Like, can you just share some tips with the audience on what helps you to be productive and how you go about doing that?
But one of the things that I think is that we must operate in the area of excellence. There are some excellent areas that we have so much tremendous strength. You could be strong in one thing and make it. Like I have the strong ability to communicate on a large scale, and I knew that sooner or later the communication was going to take hold and root. So find your strengths, but I also say work on your weaknesses, because there are some things that we're not strong at, but you can succeed if you find your strength. And one of the things I do is I retire into the sounds very often. And here lately, I've been reading this book called Great by Choice. Being great has to be a choice, and you have to be methodical. You have to be like a ticking clock every way, every day, doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. But you got to be doing the right things. So if you would take your strengths, weakness, opportunities, threats, you only need a strength to be great. But you got to find that thing that's going to open that door. So I think that's we got to take time away from the silence and to run this race. And I know Georgia knows this. You got to really keep reinvesting in yourself. You got to
Mhm.
have that quiet time. You got to have that time that you invest in your knowledge, that time that you're growing. Because the business, I've been saying this for years, that we cannot become more than what we are. So if your business is to grow, you have to grow as a human being. So I think that and I call it, we have to make the great investment, and that great investment is in ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the most important question in life that we will ever ask ourselves is why. Why am I doing this? Why am I spending time with this person? Why am I in this network group? Why am I, why? Why? And I think when you understand why, you can prioritize your life based on the things that is important to you, and you can make time for things that are important to you. And once you learn to get past your, like, those common fears of the unknown, of not having enough, of not, losing control, of loss, once you get past those things and you can really start to laser in, like Phil was saying, on yourself and have that quiet time. One of the things that really helped me in my success was meditation. And meditation, it changed my entire life because it helped me to get rid of the negative self-talk. And I think for a lot of people, what holds them back is that voice in their head that makes them feel like, why would I succeed at this? Or, you have to know that you deserve it. I think most things that hold people back from success is they may do all these other things, but if they don't believe it, if they don't really feel it within themselves that they deserve to be this, to do this, to have this, if they don't believe it, all that other stuff doesn't matter, because you have to know. you have to know as an individual that you have the potential to make this happen, that you have the, the gifts, the talents, the natural abilities, the skill set, that you have everything that you need to make yourself stand out, to make yourself authentic. I think what happens is when somebody sees someone do something and they're successful at it, everybody tries to mimic that or imitate that. And you cannot imitate something that works for someone else, because that may not work for you. You have to find out what makes you authentic. You have to find out that makes you, you know, transparent, that make people, want to gravitate towards whatever product or service that you have. You have to figure out that what makes you unique. And when you start to laser in on more of yourself and not compare yourself to other people and what they're doing, then you can focus on how to, like Phil was saying, how to make yourself better, how to make yourself great, and really move past that. How would you like to comment on that, Phil?
Oh yes, one of the things also I believe too is passion is very important, and a lot of people they comment on when they see passionate people. And I had read a quote many years ago. It said, "I'd rather have somebody." I think Vince Lombardi said, "I'd rather have someone with passion rather than ability, because the person with passion would show up when the person with ability didn't." So that is very evident that it takes passion to succeed, because you go through some hurdles and they're going to take passion to get you over those hurdles. So that's a very important thing, that we need to really hone on the thing that we love, because they said the thing that you love, even if you wouldn't make money at it, that's the thing that you would make the most money at it, because you love it. And there's
Hmm.
nothing like love when we bring love to what we're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now I know we had talked about this earlier, but and I know, and I'm gonna go back to that because I know you mentioned some books, but I do want to find out which is like one of your favorite books, but we'll get to that later. But let's talk about networking for a minute and how important networking is to building your business. Why don't you expand on that for a little bit?
Well, networking is extremely important. It's often said that your network is your net worth, and then also you have to be an extremely good listener, because sometimes we talk so much we can't get the information. There may be some opportunity. So networking is really a skill. You should read all the books you can. There's expert books. You wouldn't try to be a doctor without going to medical school. Well, there's a guy that wrote BNI books for
Right.
years and has it's a course in college. So because you go to networking events, somebody's rushing their car, they're not listening to you, they're not developing rapid, right? Because you have to people got to get to know, like, and trust you before they
Hmm.
say, you know what, let me open up to you. There's this opportunity. So
Right.
I think people should study networking. They should read every book they can. And one guy even said, he said, never eat alone. Go when you go to breakfast, take somebody to breakfast. He also said that if you add value to somebody, if they of course they're gonna do business with you, right? So if
Hmm.
you gave somebody the biggest client networking, what do you think they're gonna do for you? So it's not it's really a relationship thing. A lot of people really don't know. You got to know when that point hits where you say, you know what, all right, I'll develop rapid with people, because people could be kind of cold in the beginning, right? So you need to know how to network.
Hmm. It's so important. Business networking provides so many new opportunities for people, and also not only that, but it's a support network, because now, like you said, you have people that can refer business to you because of your relationships with them. So now they know, like, and trust you. They will refer business to you. And networking is so important. You need networking to nurture your business and to keep it growing. And there's so many benefits towards networking. I mean, it creates visibility. Networking puts a face behind the business. It definitely helps you to get referrals. And people, like I said, people trust recommendations for people that they know. And also, like I said, the support. Owning a business can be exhausting, right? And it's good when you have a support system of people around you that are similar to you as far as like business, and like we were saying earlier, your network determines your net worth. So look at that circle of people around you, and you know, are you at the top of that circle? You always need to be around people that's smarter than you. You cannot be the smartest person in your circle. You know, you if you want to grow, if you want to evolve, you got to look at your network, you got to look at the people around you, and you got to surround yourself with people that know more than you, and that's how you get better at what you do. um, why don't you share a little bit, Phil, about your website and about the Chamber of Commerce? Tell people a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce and give them the website. I think we can put the website up, but
Okay,
tell us a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce.
the Chamber of Commerce was established in 2010, and in 2013, I was very much like President Obama. I was term limited, and I got a call after my term had expired and said, "Do you want to be the president?" But since that time, we've been named as the 2019 Small Business Champion for all of downstate New York, the five boroughs of New York City, Long Island, and New York City. And in 2021, we were named one of the most powerful people on Long Island. And in 2021, we were also named the Zob School of Business, a permanent place at the University, Hofstra University Zob School of Business,
Mhm.
commemorating the work that I've done as a Chamber of Commerce. And then in 2021, we were named as the top city and state, and all of this really had to do when, you have to bring to bear everything you learn. Everything you learned, there's some way, there's a reason why you learned it, there's a reason why you learned to type, there's a reason why you learned to network. And that's what we had to do. We had to bring to bear all of our ability toward what we try and achieve. And since that time, we've become known as the largest African American Chamber of Commerce in New York State. And last year in December, we were awarded a grant to be a spoke. Uh, there's a hub and spoke program called a community SBA Community Navigator Pilot Program coming from the White House, and we are delighted. For 2 years, we're going to help small businesses grow and get access to capital through a federal grant through the White House.
Wow,
And
wow,
our
that's
our website is www.liaacc.org. But our real tagline is New York State's largest African American Chamber of Commerce, and that's all you have to put up, and you'll find us.
wow, that's great. That's great. Now I know earlier in the interview you had mentioned a book that you love, Think and Grow Rich. I actually was going to ask you a question on that to recommend a book to the audience and why you recommend that book. So, Think and Grow Rich was one. Do you have another one that you would like to recommend, and why would
Oh,
you recommend that book? Because I know you read a lot.
oh yeah. I also have the anybody that's in business, they should read What to Do the First 90 Days of taking on a new position. Also, Great by Choice is really a study of all of the companies that was great. A lot of companies go through difficulties, right? But the companies that really make it stand the test of time by being so relentless that no matter what was happening, they see that future goal and they keep a track of their goals and they succeed beyond the obstacles. And they also would have tremendous amount of humility because being great, you could be arrogant and great, and it could bring you down too. So I think having a great by choice, good to great, getting the right people on the bus, like you working with a great person that's putting on this show, getting the right people on the bus is just as important as you being great yourself because nobody gonna achieve but a certain level unless they bring other people's calling to help their calling.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on side note, I actually read a book a month. I try to read a new book every once a month because actually reading can be it's more than just gaining knowledge. Research has shown there are so many benefits to reading. It reduces stress, it helps you to relax, it improves your concentration and your memory, and also it helps your vocabulary expansion and it strengthens your writing ability. So reading is very important, and I read because I like to continue learning. I like to continue to be innovative. I learn from other people, and other people learn from me, and I learn from other people, and that's how it should be. You should constantly be learning and growing and evolving as an individual. Um, Now let's talk a little bit about team building, Phil, which I know you're very, very familiar with because you're, the president of Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce and the past president of 100 Black Men. So you know what it's like to be in leadership roles. Would you share with us some keys to building a great team?
Well, leadership starts with yourself. If you want to bring, if you want to build a great team, you have to learn to be great because leadership is going to take that. And leadership going to mean sometimes the leader is following the lowest person on the tadpole. Leading is now looked at today as different. One day you could be leading. I heard Ken Chenault at Five Star Chat said, you know what? He had to trust people 4 levels under him to tell him what the truth and who was on his side and who wasn't. So leadership, you need a lot of intuition. It's a lot of self-control. You need a lot of investment in yourself because to get people to follow anybody is not an easy task. So you have to be extraordinary, make the extraordinary investment. You need to assess the day. You should look at every human encounter and say, you know, could I have done better? Could something have been done better? Should I have done something? Because if we don't reflect on our transactions in life, we don't make change. So leadership is something. It's a constant investment. There's no such thing as somebody knows it all. So keep investing and read as many leadership books as you can.
Hmm.
Read, read. I love the 90-day thing because they say most businesses, if you get off the ground in 90 days, you're on the right track, right?
Hmm.
So that's an important concept that how you start something is going to determine how you finish it. Like when you had to start the book right to have the foundation to end the book. But if you would have never started with those 90 days, I don't think a lot of books wouldn't have been wrote.
Yeah,
And it's called
definitely.
90-day plan. We should all, and even if you had a company and other people begin to work with you, everybody should be on a 90-day plan. What you're going to get done in 90 days.
Definitely, definitely. I think, building a great team is more about building the right team with the right skill set and lasering on their passion and their strength. Because I think when you have a team of people and you laser on their passion and their strengths, they'll give more, they'll do more, they'll be more excited, they'll be more motivated. So that's really important too. I know we're going to be running out of time soon, so I want to close with my signature question, Phil. And that is, if you were to look in the mirror and see your younger self, what would you tell him?
Well, I would tell myself that there are some things that I could have done differently, but I wouldn't change anything because it's been a great journey. So my younger self would be just putting preserving more capital because as you know, capital is very important. But as you're young, you spend money, you do things because capital is a tremendous tool. But I've really had a great journey. I've had a great journey. I've able to employ many people. There's a gentleman that has a barbershop school, and he said, "Phil, I wouldn't have that school." So even in my younger days, I was very focused. Because some of us know what we want to do very early,
Right.
and we have passion very early. So I don't have any much regrets. I'm just enjoying the journey, and I'm not finished. It's not even part two yet.
I hear you. I hear you. I mean, like I said, everything that you go through is for a reason and a season or a lifetime, and you meet people for a reason, season, or a lifetime. And I believe that's how life works, the cycle of life. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Create the Life You Love podcast with Georgia Woodbine. Thank you, Phil Andrews, for joining us today. And I want to let everyone know to please be sure to like and share this podcast. video on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. The more, the merrier. We have to get this information out to people. And remember, we all have the freedom to choose and be mindfully aware to create the things that we love based on how we think. So thank you guys for joining us again, and take care, Phil. Thanks for joining us. You got to come back again. See you
Thank
guys.
you. Bye.